Adabox 11, Pi Portal. Reach out beyond your desk to the stars and beyond with Pi Portal. This Adabox features a new, easy-to-use IoT device that allows you to customize and create your very own Internet of Things portal. We take CircuitPython to the max, pairing a SAMD51 chip with a 3.2-inch color TFT touchscreen and secure Wi-Fi coprocessor. With the open-source Python-powered Pi Portal, you can fetch and display anything in the world. Inspirational quotes, weather forecasts, your social media followers, cat photos, and more over Wi-Fi with the latest technologies. Create little pocket universes of joy that connect to something good. You can even rotate it 90 degrees. Now it's a web-connected conference badge. And take badge life to the next level. Thanks to the generous sponsorship and support from Analog Devices and DigiKey, we've even included a fancy precision temperature sensor. Each Pi Portal comes with an ADT 7410 sensor built right in, so you can display the local temperature, or use the Pi Portal as a remote temperature logger and sensor that uploads data to our free Adafruit Io IoT service. Adabox 11, Pi Portal.
Welcome to the Adabox 11 unboxing. I'm John Park for Adafruit Industries. If you're a subscriber, you've probably already gotten your Adabox in the mail and you can play along. If you're not, you should go ahead and subscribe to Adabox 12. Now, this Adabox is all about making the Internet of Things fun and easy to use. Let's have a look at what's inside the box. Digging inside, we have our protective bubble wrap, and there is the Adabox. Let's take off the slip cover, and the first thing you'll notice is we have this little slide-in sheet, kind of a cool space theme here. And if we flip this over, we're going to see the description of the Adabox as well as the contents and some little description of those. Plus, we have some important links that you can use for checking out the main guide for Adabox, as well as support. And we have a coupon code for subscribers to use in the Adafruit store for 10% off. Now let's have a look inside the box. Got our super cool Adabox sticker and tissue paper. And the first thing that we see here is the Pi Portal itself. Let me open this up, and you'll have a little protective film over the screen. You can pull that off. The Pi Portal is an amazing, easy-to-use IoT device. We call it the CircuitPython-powered internet display, but you'll find it's that and so much more. First of all, you'll see we have this beautiful 3.2-inch TFT resistive touch screen, which means you can look at the images on it and use it as an input. Flipping it over, you'll see we have an ATSAM-D51 processor, as well as the ESP32 coprocessor for Wi-Fi. We've also got, thanks to the generous sponsorship of DigiKey and Analog Devices, an Analog Devices ADT7410 temperature sensor built right on. We can also flip it over and see we've got a light sensor, which can be used for environmental sensing or even as an input. We have a pair of JST connectors that can be used for I2C devices or even plugging in a NeoPixel Strip, as well as this stemma connector, which gives us access to 2 digital or analog pins as well as power and ground. There's a built-in speaker right on board so you can play sound effects and messages. We also have a speaker port so that you can plug in an external speaker if you want that. We also have an SD card reader built right on so you can store images there and retrieve them, as well as these mounting holes you'll see in the corners, which can be used to attach it to different types of stands or even use it as a badge holder with a lanyard. To go along with the Pi Portal, we have a few other goodies in the box. First of all, we've got this excellent Pi Portal purple 2-meter long USB cable. Now this is great for applications where you'll want to plug in your Pi Portal for power to a USB wall adapter, for example, and have the Pi Portal quite a distance away from the outlet. We also have inside the box an acrylic stand kit that you can use for your Pi Portal. Now I've already removed the protective film from mine. You'll see some tan paper on there that you'll peel off. And you can use these parts along with instructions that we have online to make an attractive stand for your Pi Portal. It's also got all of the hardware that you'll need to put it together. When you've put together your Pi Portal stand, you may want to have a look at the optional penny roll that we've included in this Adabox. And you'll need to get your own 50 pennies or similar sized coins, but you can set those inside of the penny roll, fold down the end, and then use it to weigh down your Pi Portal so it doesn't slide around on your desk in case you are using the touch screen, for example, and want it staying put. We also have a special bonus in Adabox 11, and that is this Adafruit Io Plus 1-year subscription. Now you can supercharge your Pi Portal by connecting it to Adafruit Io, which is our premier cloud Internet of Things service for everyone. Io Plus gives you more feeds, more data, and more service tie-ins. Well, we've got our Pi Portal and we have our USB cable, so why don't we plug these in and have a look at the default firmware demo. You can plug this into a USB power outlet or a computer or laptop. I'm going to get my laptop out here since we'll be editing some files, and I'm going to plug in the USB over here, and then on the micro end I'll plug that into the Pi Portal. Now when you plug that in, you'll see the status light, and then we'll get a little splash screen. Shout out to DigiKey and Analog Devices for their sponsorship of the PyPortal. And now we see the PyPortal Blinka logo, followed by serial output. This is like the REPL you'll see inside of Mu when you're using CircuitPython. And what this is telling us is we actually need to update the secrets.py file on the USB drive that mounts when you plug this into your computer, so that we can add our credentials for our Wi-Fi SSID name and password. So what I'm going to do is go into Mu on my laptop, and the CircuitPy drive shows up automatically. I'm going to open the secrets.py file. I'm going to add my SSID name for my Wi-Fi router, as well as the password. And now after entering in my Wi-Fi credentials, I'm going to save that file, and it'll cause a restart of the PyPortal. And now it's connecting to the Wi-Fi. And it launches our Adafruit Quotes display. What this is going to do is use the API that we have to go grab a quote from Adafruit's quotes server, and then it's going to parse that file, which is a JSON file, to pull the name of a quote author and the quote itself, and then display those. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci. Let's have a look now at how we put together the stand. We have this great acrylic enclosure stand designed by our own Phil Burgess. And the way this works is we're going to start with this black piece. This is the front frame, and it has a little hole cut out that allows us to place this over the front but still use the light sensor. So you're going to want to align things so that you can still see that light sensor shining through. Now, I'm going to show you how you sandwich this together for assembly, but you're going to want to look at the full assembly instructions on the Learn Guide for Adabox 11's PyPortal. Now, I'm going to flip this over, and just to show you how things go together, we're going to take a couple of these strange pieces and align them with the parts that they're going to allow some clearance for. So this top one will go like this. Let me set this down. And this bottom one is going to allow us to clear the speaker on the bottom there. So once you get those set, we're going to take a look at the back piece. And again, this has some cutouts for our JSTs, so that'll need to line up, as well as this hole for the reset button. And what happens is these legs are going to go in place. You're going to first place a captive nut into each of these legs, and then a screw is going to go in from the front, and that's what's going to hold it in place. So again, take a look at the Learn Guide for exact instructions on that. But with those both in place, like so, this will then snap into the back of the case, and then we'll use the 4 long screws to go through and secure it all. I'm going to move this off to the side, and cooking show style, let me show you a completed stand. There it is. And what you'll notice is we've got these little curved cutouts in the legs. That is what we're going to use to hold the penny roll. Remember the penny roll here, what I've done is gone ahead and filled one with pennies, and I'm going to set that in the back there. This is totally optional, but it gives you a bunch more weight on the PyPortal and stand. So if, for example, you're using it as a touch interface, it's not going to go anywhere when you press the screen. Here's a recap of all the great parts that came in the Adabox 11. We have, of course, our PyPortal, which is our incredible CircuitPython-powered Internet of Things device of the future. And want to mention we've got the Analog Devices ADT 7410 temperature sensor on there, thanks to Analog Devices and DigiKey for that. We also have our Adafruit Io Plus 1-year subscription card, which is a bonus in this Adabox 11. We have our Blinka purple USB cable. This is a 2-meter long USB micro B cable, which is good for data and power. We have the acrylic Pi Portal enclosure and stand, and we have our penny roll, so you can weigh that down. So this wraps up our unboxing portion, and I really hope you've enjoyed checking out the parts and goodies that come in Adabox 11. And now we're going to go to our live section so that we can take a look at some of the really great things that you can actually do with your brand new Pi Portal. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park, and this has been the Adabox 11 unboxing. Yes, that's right. But don't go anywhere, because here we are for the continuation of our unboxing. This is the live portion. So I hope you enjoyed checking out what's in the box. And now I want to head over to the other side of the workbench and show you some of the project demos that I've got. I have quite a few over here, including a couple that the Ruiz brothers were kind enough to send me of some of their really nice 3D printed projects that they did, one in collaboration with Dave Estells. So let's head over here and let me swap my camera over. There we are, and let's throw on the overhead. So actually, first of all, this is a good one to look at. This is my live unboxing countdown timer that I was using. You might have seen that at the top of the show. I had that set using our event countdown project, which is, someone had asked, are these CircuitPython? I think almost all or all of these are CircuitPython projects. We do also have Arduino available, but all of these have been done pretty much in CircuitPython. So in this one, what we're doing is we're using the Adafruit Io service for the time server. And the really cool thing about this is that we are able to grab your local time over Wi-Fi using the built-in ESP32 Wi-Fi coprocessor. And without worrying about daylight savings time adjustments or any of that in your code, we're able to just always get the current time. So for this project, you really only have to do two things. You can set a background image. I made a little custom background image, which is this Adabox logo. And then I told it what time and day my event was. And it took care of the rest. So this has been counting down for me the days, hours, and minutes until the event. And in fact, it then goes to a second screen. So this live banner that I have here, let's make this big so you can appreciate it. Whoops, where'd you go? There it is. This banner where it says live is actually a second BMP image that it switched to once we got to that time. And this project actually illustrates a couple other really cool things about the Pi Portal. So Pi Portal has the ATSAMD 51 chip as its main processor. It's also got 8 megs of flash on it. So I'm able to store quite a number of image files. In this case, I only need 2 of them, but these are BMP image file, bitmap image file, raster graphics, and it's got a 320 by 240 screen, and the color resolution on it is 16 bits, so 565 for red, green, and blue, and it displays them beautifully. It actually is looking pretty nice on this video right now, and even better in real life. So this project also, I've got a 3D printed case that I made, and I also stuck a little magnet on it so I could stick this to the fridge. And I've used this one also for the weather display project, which is pretty cool. Another thing to mention, let's have a look at another one that I've got right here on the workbench. I've told this one to just stick with the DigiKey and Analog Devices logo. This is one of the splash screens on the default firmware when you get your Pi Portal. I modified the code a little bit so that it would display this and remind me to thank both DigiKey and Analog Devices for their generous sponsorship, which makes it possible for us to create such wonderful Adaboxes for you, and also to include the ADT7410 temperature sensor that's built on board. If we look at a bare board here, hold this up and we'll see if we can get that to focus. Hey thing, oh maybe it's on manual focus right now. Right up here is our temperature sensor. And you can use this to log the sensor temperature, which is partly going to give you the temperature on board because we're near some warm electronics, but you can also do a bit of an offset and calculate environmental temperatures as well. And if you want to do even more sensor-wise, you can plug things in to the JST or STEMMA connector and get access to I2C sensors, 2 of them at a time, or a couple of different analog or digital pins on the board. Now, this is a project I really like. Let me switch my screens here for a moment. So I'm going to put this one on. One of the things that we can do is we've got these little mounting holes that allow us to attach the Pi Portal to an enclosure, or in this case, I'm going to use it as a conference badge style. So what I'm going to do is I've got a lanyard on here. I'm going to put this around my neck, and you can see I've also got a couple of strips of NeoPixel. So I'm just going to throw those over my shoulder. Why not? So this is a very quick makeshift party costume for something, a rave, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I've actually got it running off of a phone battery charger. And what you'll see when this boots up is, let me get that in screen. There we go. We're going to get a series of squares that show up, and I can use those to control the color of the NeoPixels. So if you can see right there on my shoulders, I've changed one of them. I can use the light sensor as an input. Now I'm changing the color on the other, or I can tell it to change both at the same time. So we can get that to work. This is finicky just because of the light that we have shining on it is different than the light when I started, but there we go. So this is a pretty cool alternate use of the Pi Portal than your typical desktop display. Is you can use it as a sort of a wearable, which is pretty cool. And you can power it, like I said, with this any type of a portable USB 5-volt phone charger. Or we've now got a couple of new items in the store, which are these little breakout USB cords or plugs that you can use with little ribbon cables. And you could probably make a pretty discreet little package using one of these phone chargers, which is pretty cool. Let's see, some other projects I wanted to show off. Let me go big screen again. Oops, hey, whoa, there we go. This one is this beautifully designed, let me zoom out a little bit, Viewmaster that the Ruiz brothers made. And it's got a battery and power boost inside. You can charge it. It's got, it's using a switch so that you can see in there the image. I see an Adabot there. As I change that, we can see there's a different image inside. That's a Boomy logo in there. I don't think it'll focus if I get super close, but you can see the images changing out there. So that's really cool, novel use of our connections here for switching. And we've got this little limit switch in here. And a nice enclosure for the Pi Portal. Beautifully done project. Another one that I wanted to show off, this is a collaboration between the Ruiz brothers and Dave Estells, and this is this Star Trek themed alarm clock. It's got our 40mm speaker up there. It has a couple of charging ports. It also has a 5-volt USB output, so you can power, let's say, charge a phone or something from it while it's in use. And you can see I can unplug power from it, and it's actually running off of the LiPo batteries in there. It's got an on-off switch there. It's touch screen, so you can change, for example, to the alarm setting. And, oh, I've gone back. It's also showing the temperature, local temperature. Let me try this again. No, I'm not sure exactly how to use it. I'm going to try one more time. Come here, thing. I'm attempting to... There we go. So I'm changing the minutes of when my alarm is set and the hours. Now I've done it. It's also going to have integration into an automated coffee warming mug called Mugsy, but I don't think that's ready yet. Anyway, really cool project worth checking out in the Learn Guide. And speaking of the Learn Guide, let me switch back over to my desktop here. And I want to bring up, actually, I'm going to pull up this full screen of the Learn Guide. So let me switch over to my Firefox. Once you get your Adabox, you'll want to go to the Learn system, learn.adafruit.com, and this is the /Adabox011, Adabox 11. This is the main guide, and so this will give you an introduction to the Adabox, as well as the unboxing, which is similar to what we've just gone through, but you can read all about it for everything that comes in the box. There you can see is our laser cut pieces with their protective paper on, which I had removed in the video. And it'll go into details about all the parts. And then we have the main introduction to PyPortal, as well as how to update it, how to use CircuitPython on it. Here's a guide for building the stand step by step that'll take you all the way through. And then we start getting into the projects. And let me jump back here for a second. As you can see from the left-hand side here, there are a lot of projects. And we still have more to come, and I'm sure that lots of people will be building incredibly cool projects as time goes with the PyPortal. Just a few I wanted to highlight. We have the Twitter Followers Trophy. So this one, I have one right here that is set currently to the Reddit followers. Let's see if you can see that. Oh, I'm holding it up. You can't see that. That's much too far away. But we have 3 projects actually that use very similar code. We have Reddit followers, Twitter followers, and now I'm forgetting what the third one is. Someone can remind me. These are cool because what these do is they use the open APIs of different services, and then we have the PyPortal using its fetch command to go and grab a JSON file. And that JSON file, if you're not familiar with JSON, is a very nice, pretty human-readable format for delivering keys and values. So there might be a key called followers, and it might have a value in this image of 157,202 for the Adafruit account. And then you can extract that data with the PyPortal very easily because it's in a consistent name, this key value format, or a consistent navigation location within the file, and then display it using our text display. So that project and a few similar ones will show you exactly how to do that sort of thing. You saw this demo. This is actually one that comes with the PyPortal, which pulls quotes from the Adafruit quote server and displays them for you. And there you can see I've built it into kind of a fun case made from a little book rather than the default case. Here is one that Colin Cunningham did, which is the Oblique Strategies by Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt, which gives you inspiration for ways to approach problems. This is actually the project that I used for my event countdown for this unboxing, and I just modified the event date and time as well as the background image, but you can use that project to do a countdown, or rather, yeah, a countdown until an event, but you can also do a count up after an event has occurred, as well as recurring weekly events. This is one of our weather projects. This one uses, I think it's openweathermaps.org to pull a bunch of data. And we've seen some users, I think C. Grover on the Discord, went and pulled even more of the data that comes from openweathermaps.org and displayed even more things, including, I think, wind speed and wind direction and some others. So that's a really fun one to set up. And we also have these beautiful icons that Adafruit designer Bruce Yan created so that we can then pull these icons up for you automatically based on the weather conditions. Here's a fun one. This is the YouTube views and subscribers count. And I built a little 3D printed case and included that in the guide. It's actually just an add-on for the Ruiz Brothers 3D printed stand that gives us that kind of familiar YouTube red television frame logo there. And here's a really cool one, the PyPortal animated GIF display. I'll play this movie within the browser. We'll see if that shows us some of the fun you can expect now that you can display GIFs right on the PyPortal. It's actually going to go through, oh, we're getting ads, hi Sony. It's going to give us an opportunity to convert the GIFs to use them, and I believe this runs in Arduino. I haven't customized it myself yet, but I have run it just using the downloadable firmware, which is a pretty easy way to just get it up and running at first. But a fun one to customize for sure. There's this Portal Viewmaster I showed you a moment ago. Great project. Here's a little 3D printed Portal case, and that's the one I used for my weather map project. This is one that Brent Rubel did. He did a series that involved Adafruit Io. So remember, I mentioned one of the things that came as a subscriber is the Adafruit Io Plus card, which is actually a fantastic value. I think it's $99 normally, and this gives you 1 year of Io Plus, which I think doubles the number of feeds, or yeah, I think it's double the number of feeds. It gives you, I think, pretty much unlimited dashboards. You can check the details on the Adafruit Io page, but if you're interested in logging things using Adafruit Io, this really turbocharges it to have the Io Plus card. And so this project uses the ADT7410 from Analog Devices to log temperature. It's also a really cool mount that the Ruiz brothers created that allows you to easily attach the Portal to any outlet or switch cover. There's the wall mount. Here's our alarm clock from Dave Estells and the Ruiz brothers. We also have a guide on creating the fonts. So the way we're using type is where you can take a typeface, and then there's a conversion, and this webpage linked in this guide will show you how to convert any typeface into individual bitmapped fonts. So you'll pick a size, you'll pick oblique or italicized, bold, and so on, and you'll generate these very, very efficient rastered bitmapped fonts, which you can then use in your projects. There's that NeoPixel color picker I showed you. I love that project. Very cool, from Kattni. And here's one. I suppose at some point we're going to get to see a black hole on this based on what came out in the astronomy news today. This is our NASA image viewer. It uses the APOD, or Astronomy Picture of the Day server that NASA has, and we're pulling in images. So I actually just published a new one called Cute Fuzz, which gives us images of cats and dogs and foxes, and we have a couple others coming out. And these image projects are interesting because what they do is they use the Adafruit Io service to do image conversion. So most of these images are served up as JPEGs, but a JPEG requires quite a bit of processing to display on something like a microcontroller and a TFT display. So what we're doing is we're actually taking those JPEG paths that come from the JSON file, and we feed that path over to Adafruit Io, where we have a graphic conversion program running, and we tell it to turn it into a 320 by 240 pixel 16-bit BMP file, which essentially is uncompressed and very easy to open and read. It's just a map of what pixels to display where. So this image viewer for NASA, as well as our cute animals and a few other projects coming up, is a really great way for you to learn how to do image display from a dynamic set of images. You can, of course, always put BMP files right onto your Portal, or put it onto an SD card and feed the SD card into the Portal. It has a card reader built right on, which is pretty great. But these image conversion projects will allow you to dynamically grab images from anywhere that you can pull in a path from a JSON file. So that is just a few of the projects that I wanted to share, and we have a few more available in that main guide and a few more on the way. So that should be pretty helpful, I think, in getting people started in using CircuitPython on their Portals with all kinds of different projects. So let's head over to the Discord chat and see what kind of questions we've been getting. I think one I saw earlier was someone asked about the USB cable that comes. This is actually this really super long one I've got right here. As you can see, I'm pulling this all the way over from my desk there. This is the 2-meter long USB to A to USB micro B It's not a USB-C, as someone asked. This one's a USB micro B on one end and an A on the other end. But the really nice 2-meter long length is very helpful if you want to use this, for example, with a magnet stuck to your refrigerator because you're doing something like a countdown or the weather portal. Then you'll want to go ahead and plug that in to an outlet that's maybe a little further away. Let's see. Any other questions that people have? Let's look through. Yes, so many guides. Lady Ada is there in the chat. She's thrown up a search term that you can click on, learnadafruit.com/search Q equals PyPortal, and you will get a bazillion projects, which is pretty great. I've also heard of some people thinking of doing some HID USB projects. So we've got the buttons, for example, on this project that Kattni did. We have buttons that are sending commands to NeoPixels, right? But you could change those around to be HID commands if you wanted to launch things, kind of like our Trellis M4 launcher program, or even send USB MIDI, for example. If you want to launch clips, it could be a pretty cool Ableton Live launcher. And let's see, what else? Anything else going on over in the chat? All right, well, if anyone has any other questions, Lady Ada and Mr. Lady Ada and I and a bunch of other great Adafruit people will be hanging out in the chat. Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming on out. I also want to thank everyone that's been working on so hard on CircuitPython, volunteers and Adafruit CircuitPython people alike. You all have made this such a fun product for us to work with. The kinds of projects that we can do are simply amazing. The stuff that you can do with this little PyPortal is so much fun, and the CircuitPython PyPortal library makes it really easy, especially for any kind of beginning programmers or people new to IoT projects. It just makes it fun and easy. So thank you all so much for coming out. Once again, for Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park, and this has been the Adabox 11 unboxing. And please, if you have not signed up already for Adabox 12, what are you waiting for? Go out and do it. And lastly, again, I want to thank DigiKey and Analog Devices for all their help in making this Adabox possible. Thanks, everyone, and bye-bye.